Welcome back and thank you for tuning in. Now, unfortunately, I've not been able to do any filming while we had the fantastic snow recently because I did the sensible thing and rested my back, so thankfully I feel a little bit better today. So this is my first opportunity to come out and do some filming. The weather, well, there's a few sunny spells, some bright cloud. It's a bit breezy, so I thought it was the ideal opportunity to come back and do a bit more scouting at this fabulous area of ancient woodland. Now, I cannot stress enough how important this work is. It's research, it's planning, it's a lot of groundwork and time investment, which should hopefully serve me well when I come back and the conditions are particularly good. And it's a long-term view because I see this project lasting at least 3 to 4 years. That's how much time I think I'm going to need to do this place justice. And I've been learning a little bit more about this location, and it just fascinates me even more and motivates me even more to invest plenty of time here. So I'll share a few of those stories along the way. But for now, fingers crossed again, we'll find something good. So let's go for a wander and hope you enjoy it. Here we go again then, Meg. You go ahead, come on, do your job. Find me some good compositions. Good girl. Right, it's time to work the legs and head up the hill because it does look interesting up there. And like I said before, I do like my elevated positions just to get a general overview and help guide which way I'm going to go next. But it's important as you're going up the hill to keep looking back because lots of wonderful shapes and characters starts to reveal itself in the trees as the backdrop becomes a bit more pleasing. In fact, I frequently walk up the hill backwards, but I'm not going to recommend that because that can be a little bit dangerous. But I could just do with that light softening a little bit because for scouting, I don't like harsh sunlight because it gets a bit distracting with all the difference in harsh light and strong shadows. But there is cloud coming, so we should be good, we should be good. Wonderful detail and shapes in this tree trunk. Probably very appealing to those into abstract shapes and textures. Very nice. I feel as if there should be something here. Well, I want there to be something here because this is the tree that we just walked past with those wonderful shapes and textures. And the opposite side of it here is really very different, but very, very appealing too, because it's got this feature, like a lot of the trees here, where they just bulge out at the bottom and all the algae and mosses on there, and the shape of the base of that tree ties in very nicely with the boulders. Almost looks like a boulder in itself. And like I said in the previous video, I think the boulders, the rocks here, they're such a key part and almost at one with the oak trees here because the oak trees frequently grow over the top of them. I think it's important to include them where possible. Just even just these rocks on here with the algae, the cool tones echoed in the base of that tree is really nice, and it's a very small detail, but it's the kind of thing that I'm looking out for. So I think it's time to put the gear down and wander around this scene a little bit more. I mean, you could just take a fairly close-up shot of the base of that tree, but I think I really want to show the wider context. Get more of a traditional woodland scene which brings in multiple elements. You can stay there, Meg. You look quite nice there, helping the composition as usual. Right, I think I might be onto something here. I'm not typically that bothered about including foreground interest, but I do quite like this very, very subtle connection with the base of that tree there. We've got a few more boulders leading us into the scene. We've got the oak tree helping to form a frame on the left-hand side there, but I quite like the detail of the tree straight through the middle. The branches lower down are fairly light, and they're catching the light quite nicely. In fact, when the sun comes up on a morning, which is over in that direction, it's completely undisturbed. There's hardly any trees over to the left-hand side here. So I don't want direct sunlight, but some ambient glow, a little bit of mist or something like that, just to soften the scene would bring out the detail on this right-hand tree really, really nicely. And then we've got the strength and the intricate detail of the tree through the middle. Lots of depth with the recession of trees. Reasonably well spaced out. I mean, further up, it's incredibly complex. I think it is going to need some mist or fog just to help tidy that up a little bit. We need to hide the background, otherwise we're going to have patches of green and different things around. Again, over on the left hand side it's a little bit light. I'd want to tone that back a little bit and then keep the eye concentrated in the middle. But I think there's something there, not in these conditions, but I'm going to practice a composition anyway, I think, and see how it looks. I do think there's some potential here. It's such a quite a difficult image to compose. I'm going for a 5:4. I do like that aspect ratio and it seems to work quite well here. Like I said, lots of intricate branches. It does need the conditions to help soften this, but in terms of something that's a little bit more complex, a little bit more detailed, I think it's quite nice. There's definitely some balance there. There's definitely some nice features. The right light, the right conditions, I think it's going to work. So I will look forward to revisiting that in the future. Now I recognise this little dip here where these oak trees are arching over, which means I'm close to an oak tree which I found in autumn last year, and I've not been back to since. But I remember finding it and thinking, oh wow, that's something really quite special. So I want to show you that and then see if I can play around with some practice compositions, because I didn't take any at the time. I was just having a quick wander with my mobile. But I think, if memory serves me well, it's up in this direction. I love things like this. A bit chaotic, difficult to make sense of, but I love these kind of bare bones, dead skeletal branches. Fantastic. So I can see the tree that I'm heading for now, but look at these. These are fantastic. This is the first time I've ever walked up this way, and straight away I'm seeing an opportunity to photograph these with my feature tree in the background, or at least a portion of it, which is fine as part of a sequence of images. But oh yes, I do love this tree. Let's go and have a closer look. But yeah, definitely have to work with them at some point. Here she is. What a beauty. I've never seen an oak tree like this. That base just herniated and melting over these rocks. I've just never seen a formation like it on an oak tree before. Whoops! Unbelievable. I cannot wait to make a nice photograph. Oh, what are you doing there, Meg? Come on, come down. Good girl. Right. Let's take some scouting images. So if you're wondering why some of the trees here have these big, broad, bulbous bases but aren't particularly tall, it's because many years ago they were pollarded, which is a process of cutting down the branches higher up to encourage lots of thick regrowth. And they did that so that they could use the wood, and they burnt the wood in the furnaces to help the development of iron ore. But even more fascinating is that within this national park we have Revo Abbey, and at Revo Abbey the monks, this is going back to the end of the Middle Ages, the monks created a furnace which was very technologically advanced at the time, much more refined in terms of the production of iron. And that was until King Henry VIII came along, got rid of the monks, destroyed everything, and in the process of doing so, it's thought that he delayed the Industrial Revolution by 200 to 250 years. Unbelievable. And that's because the monks were quite open to sharing their technology and probably would have shared their methods with the rest of the world, and so kick-starting the Industrial Revolution. I find it absolutely fascinating, and to know that that furnace that's at Revo Abbey is the only known furnace that's been recorded within Britain dating back to the medieval times, and it has a connection with here. Unbelievable. You know, I've always had an emotional connection to the landscape, but now it just really deepens that connection through knowledge and understanding that will help, you know, drive my vision and intent when making images. and it's all part of the storytelling process. And just to think that the trees here would have been what they would have been witness to, and there's potentially trees still standing here dating back to the end of the Middle Ages. Unbelievable. So I thought it was important to tell you some of these stories, because there's so many stories to be told, you know, with the trees themselves here, and it's going to take a long time to do it, I think, but I'm absolutely determined to do it justice. I cannot wait to make portfolio quality images here, hopefully fairly soon. But yeah, really, really excited, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more over the course of the next year or two. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I thought that was interesting. I wanted to share that. I think it's going to play an important role in the process of continuing this project. But for now, back to this tree. This is probably going to be a bit of a messy scouting shot because the light's a little bit harsh, to be honest. The feature tree is in the shade and the tree in the background is in the sunlight, so there's a bit of a nasty contrast there. But it doesn't matter, it is just a concept for now. So like I said, the boulders I think are quite important here. Obviously we want to get all those beautiful shapes of the oak tree just melting down the landscape there. I'm going to include that. That's kind of the anchor point on the left hand side, if you like. Frame off the bottom right hand corner with another one of these big boulders, and then just bring in some of the lovely branch networks, framing off the top with all the intricate branches of this tree and the crown of the tree behind as well. It does bring in the sky, which is fine for now because predictably, perhaps I do want to photograph it in the fog just to help soften that sky. But also, there's a lot of branches up there, so I think the canopy might become quite thick, and that will probably do a good job of hiding the sky as well, so we can keep a bit more attention on those lovely details down there. I've positioned myself quite high, and that's so that one of the branches which falls down off this tree helps to hide one of the slightly distracting branches on the tree behind. So I needed to go a bit higher to achieve that, but I think it works quite well. And it also means that this lovely branch that sways down off our feature tree helps to fill in a fairly empty gap between the boulders in the background there. So that's quite nice. Really quite simple again, just trying to position myself in a way that brings in lots of the characteristics of the tree and the boulders as well. It's a 5/4 crop. I did manage to get one just before the sunlight became a little bit stronger, but again, it's kind of irrelevant. It is just a scouting image, but I might move a little bit closer and see if we could get some angles where that beautiful base of that tree takes up a little bit more of the frame. But yeah, beautiful, really, really nice. I was just about to leave, and then the setting sun just came through the tree and lit up the base of this wonderful tree. So I thought I have to get a bit more of an intimate image of these beautiful textures, curves and combinations of colour, light and shadow, just absolutely wonderful. Now, I'm a bit rushed. It's slightly awkward because I'm also casting a shadow in a bit that I'd like to photograph. But I'll try and make a quick image anyway, using a much smaller aperture so I can get some better depth of field. In all honesty, I'm probably better off focus stacking this, but the combination of green in there and the transition from light green to dark green and the browns and sort of rich warm colours coming through as well, absolutely beautiful. And I think as an abstract image it should actually look quite nice. I think I'll have to explore this angle when I come back as well. That looks great. But time to warm up, head up this hill and see if we can catch some of that evening light up on the crag. I noticed a bit of a crag higher up there, so I want to go and investigate that. See if there's some nice oak trees growing out of some rocks up there. Come on, Meg, this way. Good girl. Oh. Oh, would you look at that? An oak tree teetering on the edge of this huge boulder. Whoa. Hey dear, how does it even happen? You wonder where it's even rooted. Amazing. Oh, awkward. Always forget about my backpack. Almost at the top. Ooh. Oh, that was going to happen sooner or later. So this is the crag that I noticed from further down the hill, and it's really quite lovely. Fantastic pair of oak trees growing out of the tumbling rocks there. They work really quite well together. I quite like that jagged edge as well. We've got a nice steep valley side over there, giving a nice consistent backdrop apart from the field and snow just sneaking in at the left-hand side there. I mean, it's no good even, I don't think it's even worth taking the big camera out now because the sun has set behind the clouds over there. The ambient light is on the other side of these trees, so they're looking really quite grey and flat at the minute. But I think there's some potential here. I think the way that this oak tree, well, how both oak trees, because they're quite windswept, kind of swing back this way is quite nice, because the difficult thing when shooting across hillsides like this is that sometimes it's awkward dealing with the bottom corner, because you'll get maybe there's a chunk of quite uninteresting hillside just sneaking in there. But looking at this now, I think I could probably get away with tilting the camera quite considerably to eliminate the problem of an empty space down here, finish it off with some boulders, and it will still look believable, because we won't be showing any horizon, so that doesn't matter. So I'm just thinking I could probably tilt the camera like this. We'll see less of the swing of the trees, but I think it will feel better overall to have less of an empty corner down here. I'm just going to take a quick, it's got to be worth a quick phone shot, hasn't it? Why not? That's been really nice, but time has run out much quicker than I expected. But before I go, I think it's important that I take a little bit of time out to have my quiche and a double espresso Americano. It has to be done. We need a caffeine fix. Well, you don't want a caffeine fix, do you, Meg? I think I've got something for you as well. Meg? Come on, come around this way. Be careful. Come here. Sit down. Sit. Sit down. There you go. A little beefy biscuit. What more can you want? Enjoy, Meg. It's the only downside of creating videos sometimes. You rush around backwards and forwards, and sometimes you don't take the time out to enjoy the simple things of a cup of coffee, admiring these wonderful ancient oaks. Meg, I hope there's no medieval ghosts lingering around here, haunting these trees. I don't fancy seeing them. All right, better get a move on, Meg, otherwise it'll be pitch black. I ran out of battery power before I could wrap things up, so I just wanted to thank you very much for watching, but also to quickly remind you about my box set, which includes 12 beautiful prints of photographs I've made locally. The opportunity to save £20 on pre-orders ends tomorrow, so please take a look at that. Your support is massively appreciated. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I have been back to that location since and found some more fantastic things. So I look forward to sharing those with you in a future episode. But yeah, for now, thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.